I mean, to talk about Africa, Africa is amazing. Africa is the birthplace of everything. Africa is the birthplace of civilization. Imagine there's a place, right, where everything exists. A place that has beauty, a place that has love, a place that has character, a place that has history, a place of royalty, a place where you are loved, a place where everybody want to sing your praise, a place where everybody want to encourage you. Don't get me wrong, there are some shades in this place too, because nowhere is ever perfect, right? But it's home. It's who you are. It defines you. When you get to this place, you feel the place and you can feel that you are home. Imagine this place. Perfect, beautiful beaches and sunrise and all this beautiful nature, animals and safaris and everything you can ever think of. It's in one place. And they tell you, this place is your home. This is where you come from.
We will get down. We will get
This is Africa.
Lady Sanawi, she was so poised, and like when you look at her, you just get this queen essence, and she was radiant, and like the way her like body was sculpted, it was just so, her body was like itself was just so beautifully made. When I look at Lady Sanawi, I can like see myself as her almost. Like it was kind of like looking in a mirror. Not to say that I'm royalty, but you know, to some extent, yeah.
Akwaba, Akwaba, Akwaba. I get excited every time I have to come your way. And I must say, we are indoors today. We are not outside because, you know what, I always don't want to throw the negative of what goes behind the scenes. But at least I am here and I get to sit with you for at least the next 45 minutes for us to go down history together. My name is Kojo Bento. I'm here to serve you. The Most High asked me to do this so that you can get back home.
I must start out from the beginning in saying, many people have asked me, is it possible for white people to teach black studies? And I have said, hell no. A man's history is not just some dates and names written down. History has emotion in it. And history is interpretation of events passed by. No white man can interpret my history for me, just as no Irishman will accept the interpretation of Irish history by an Englishman. Many people, whenever I start to speak about my slavery and my enslavement, I always hear that the Jews were enslaved, as if the Jews were somebody else than me. But if they said some Europeans call themselves Jews, then I know what they're talking about.
This is Africa. This is our home. This is our story. And we are telling our own story. This is Identity Sunday. where your identity get discovered by you. You discover who you are. That's what Identity Sunday is all about. And talking about discovering an identity, I'm excited for our brothers and sisters this week who told me, brother, bless you for what you do. Because of you, I went and got my DNA test done, and I know where I am from. I know where my ancestors are. I know where my root is. I'm excited. I'm excited. When I got the news, I was really excited. And guess where they are from? Almost all of them are from West Africa. All of them. It's just one person that is from Nigeria, Ghana, a bit of Senegal, and also a bit of Congo, a bit of Angola, I think, Angola. But the rest, everybody from Guinea, from Cameroon, from Nigeria, from Ghana. Listen, it's time you take a chance to find out where your roots is from. Do it today. What are you waiting for? You can go to ancestry.com and you would find, they would help you find out where you are from. If you come to me and I tell you you're from Ghana, I probably might be deceiving you. So don't let me tell you you're from Ghana. Do your DNA test today and find out where you are from. It's your right to know. Do it for your children. Do it for your grandchildren. Let your grandchildren sit together and say, Grandma and Grandpa told us where we are from, because he or she took a chance in finding out where we are from.
When I first saw it like in person, it was so small and cute, and it just spoke to me in a way, which was weird because it was just so small, but like, yeah, it spoke volumes. And it was so beautiful, and like I can imagine these queens and all these other people just wearing it around their necks, showing authority. So I just see it as a big symbol of like royalty almost, yeah.
I want to say a big thank you. We are 200 this week. I'm excited. You see, this is nothing to some people, but I'm excited that at least we started from nothing and we are 200. This week we are 200. This week we are here because of you. Bless you. I want to name drop, but I don't want to jinx it. They call something commentators curse, right? So I don't want to do that. I want all of us to continue to build. This is going to be the biggest family you've ever been a part of. And this is going to be an amazing family. And this family is going to be full of love. I know it because we are already doing it. Those that are close, those that are in, those that have been calling, you know that this is indeed a family. And my numbers are in the description. Let's talk. Regardless of where you're from, regardless of which African country you're from, let's talk. It's time we take action. It's time we do something. And this family right here is growing because you decided to tell somebody about it. And bless you so much. You know I'm talking to you. Bless you so much for sharing this video, for always letting people come on board, telling people about this amazing family that is growing up, and this is going to be awesome very soon. I want to encourage you to also make sure you do the search yourself. Don't just sit, don't just listen to me. Everything I say, it is within your right, it's your responsibility to go and search it out, to make sure I'm not just bringing some bunch of words to you, but I'm actually telling you the truth. Please do that search for me.
When I look at the statues, it gives me this new perspective of that you don't always get to see. Because when you think of Africa, sometimes you think of poverty, you think of starving children. And it's like rare that you get to see that Africa is full of kings and queens and art and culture. Like these statues, though they don't speak, you could still feel the essence of them in the room and like the power that they held over people, which is like truly amazing and unbelievable. I can barely put words to it. It's unbelievable. Like how much jewelry these people would be wearing. Like from head to toe, drenched in jewelry. Like from the crowns that the kings wore on their heads with the cobras coming out. Like it symbolized, it's so much more than just jewelry or just pieces of diamonds or gold. When I see the women, these queens, being held to such a high standard, it makes me feel like a queen almost. That my little sisters are a queen. That like all the women in Africa are these Nubian queens that have like finally been put into power, and like it really warms your heart almost. That like, yes, that we're women, and like for long times you've been viewed as just objects or something, but now like we're put on the forefront, and we're what you want to look at, and we're leaders, and we're more than just these objects, you know.
I'm continuing what I started last week, talking about this is Jerusalem, and Monday I started, I touched on the fact that we were not slaves in Africa. We were not slaves in Egypt. Don't believe everything they've told you. They had to cook up some lies to cover up the things that they are doing behind the scenes. But we were not slaves. We were not slaves in Egypt. There's no DNA. There's no archaeologists are not finding anything in Egypt that says that there were some bunch of slaves here that built the pharaohs. That's all lies. That's all lies. So I want to continue with this and talk about the fact before West Africa, Egypt before West Africa. And what I mean by Egypt before West Africa is that we were in Egypt, especially all those that are in the West African belts. We were in Egypt.
In terms of human history, deep human biological history, Africa has a special role as a place of the emergence of modern humans, whether from a single population that has crossed the threshold and diversified, or whether from multiple populations that have intermixed to create the fundamental basis of modern humanity. Ancient Nubia and ancient Egypt share roots, common cultural roots in Northeast Africa, in the Sahara, and along the Nile Valley. The ancient Egyptians and the ancient Nubians can both be described, especially in the earlier periods, as being descendants of Northeast African indigenous populations. As one writer said, all of these people are Africans, and I define Africans as people whose biological histories have emerged and their identities have emerged in Africa, and where any mixing that took place on African soil. The Egyptians did not come from any place else other than the Nile Valley. Their identities and any other ancestry that they may have had were all forged together in that space.
We all know the invasion of Africa is what brought about the name of Africa. I mean, when the Greeks invaded Egypt, they gave it the name Egypt. So we all know that the name is not Egypt. Egypt is a modern term, just as Africa is a modern name. It's after the Romans invaded the land that they gave the place or the continent Africa. Present day West Africans were originally the people from Egypt. Mandi is a family of ethnic groups in West Africa who speak any of the many related Mandi languages of the region. Various Mandi groups are found in Benin, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, Gambia, Ghana, Guinea-Bissau, Liberia, Mali, Mauritania, Nigeria, Senegal, Sierra Leone. There's a people called the Chufo people, T-W-I-F-O, Chufo people. And these Chufo people are located in a place called Chufo Praso in modern Ghana, or current Ghana. Chufo Praso is in the central region. Central region has its capital, Cape Coast. Cape Coast is the capital city of central region, and Chufo Praso is a subset or sub-city or sub-town of central region. And these Chufo people originally migrated from Egypt. The name. So let me not even talk about the people. Let me just stay on the name. As we can see from the pictures, one of the things I need you to pay attention to is the water that is flooding the place, village or town called Chufo Praso. Pay attention to the water that is all over the place. Pay attention to the water and pay attention to the river. That is, you see the bridge and there's a river and then a little canoe there. The next picture you are seeing is the Chufo Praso young men, the youth, who basically, what they are doing in the picture is they are mining gold and minerals and resources. And the reason why they are mining this gold is because that whole area is believed to have, or not believed, it's actually a fact. They have a lot of gold and a lot of resources in that area. So the young men, what they do is that they do shallow mining. They do shallow mining, which we call galamsey in our area, They do shallow mining. And as the next picture is just some political parties or political figures organizing rallies. I think this is the NDC, and I don't do politics. That's NDC, and I'm bringing this picture for you to know that, okay, this is not just some abandoned place. This is a prominent place. Here, the word truthful comes out of the word TAWI. The word truthful comes out of the word TAWI. TAWI comes from an ancient Egypt language, or an ancient Egypt word. TAWI is the ancient, or was the ancient capital of both Lower Egypt and Upper Egypt. TAWI was the ancient capital of both Lower Egypt and Upper Egypt. This, when you check the map, it looks a bit confusing, because when you see Lower Egypt pointing at the top and Upper Egypt pointing at the down, it's basically because the river now is flowing down. The river now is flowing down into the Mediterranean Sea, as we can see. So where the river is coming from the Sudan areas, is what we call the Upper Egypt, and downwards is what we call the Lower Egypt. So the Upper Egypt is the south, and the Lower Egypt is the north. The next picture or image we are seeing now is an image. This is a union of the Upper and Lower Egypt. It's depicted by knotted papyrus and reed plants. The binding motif represents both harmony through linkage and domination through containment. The duality is an important part of royal iconography. Sometimes the duality is further extended by having the knotted plant extend and bind foreign foes. So the next image we are seeing is an alabaster jar depicting the semi-TAWI, which the TAWI is, in modern times, is spelled T-A-W-Y, but the original spelling is TAWI. You see, when you spell T-A-W-I, it sounds more like TAWI, but TAWI is actually the original spelling, T-A-W-I. And the image we are seeing now is a symbol with happy. The alabaster jar depicting the semi-TAWI symbol with happy from the tomb of Tutankhamun, which I will tell you the real name very soon. But now let's stick with Tutankhamun. TAWI, we can also find TAWI in other countries, and I need you to pay particular attention to the rivers, as I was explaining to you in the picture that I showed you about Chifu Praso, what the rivers represented. TAWI in Swahili means to branch out. TAWI in Swahili means to branch out. In Kenya, it means a leaf or a branch. In Kenya, it means a leaf or a branch. TAWI is also a name of a sacred and a holy river in India, which flows in the city of Jammu. So, but which flows in the city of Jammu or Jammu. Anyway, that I'm just using it, but the spelling is Jammu. So the picture you are seeing now, you can tell that the river looks dry going under the bridge. The picture you see now, we can tell that the river this is about the dry season, and the river flowing under the bridge looks a bit dry. But the next picture we are seeing now, we can tell that the river is really full. So this presumably during the rainy season. This river in India can sometimes flood into the homes of people, the same as we saw in the picture. The same as we saw in the picture with Chifu Praso. There's another TAWI island in the Philippines. And we have the TAWI island in the Philippines. To your left, you see Malaysia. And to your right is the TAWI island. And you can see water flowing through the entire village or island, just as you saw from Chifu Praso, and just as you are seeing from India as well. You can see the people basically living their lives on river, on water. Okay. So what is the similarity between all these TAWI places? The river. The river is telling you that these people that were by the river are the same people. Wherever they went, they made sure that they found themselves close to a river. So they would always find themselves close to a river because the river sort of connected them to the spirit or the force or the power. Remember when we read from India, it says what? It's a sacred river in India. So they were connected to. So these TAWI people always found themselves close to water, close to river. Remember, in Egypt as well, they were along the Nile River. Okay, so wherever these settlers of these people, the TAWI people, went, they made sure they found themselves around a river. It is out of this name, TAWI, that we have the word chi. So the word chi came out of the name TAWI. It is a derivation of word. It means it came out of the other. When you take the A out of TAWI, what we get is chi. So the word chi is coming out of this place or these people called TAWI. Okay. Before this, it was prophesied in ancient Egypt that one of the Canaanite, and this Canaanite, the letter C was introduced later. So before, or in ancient time, there was no letter C in Canaanite spelling. It was a K-A, not C-A. I mean, we say Canaan or Canaan, right? So it was more of a K than a C. Before, it was prophesied in ancient Egypt that one of the Canaanite languages will be spoken in Egypt, meaning it will become the main language. This language is what we call modern term Hebrew. So the term Hebrew is actually a prophesied language in ancient Egypt that was said it was going to be spoken by the whole people or by the whole of Egypt. So Hebrew is not an ancient word or an ancient name. It is a modern term given to a language spoken by an ancient people. Hebrew is a modern word given to a language spoken by an ancient people. And the language they spoke was a Chi language, not this Paleo-Hebrew that these fake Ashkenazis are speaking now or claimed was speaking before. So they named the name of the language after the place or after the people, TAWI. So Chi comes out of the word TAWI. Hence, Chi was spoken by the people in TAWI. TAWI was the capital city. When you take the name TAWI and add a suffix A, we get the name Tawia. A suffix is basically a morpheme added to the end of a word to form a derivative. A suffix is a morpheme added at the end of a word to form a derivative. So we have, adding A to the word TAWI, we have the word Tawia or the name Tawia. Tawia is a local Akan name which simply means, or is a name given to a child that comes after twins. Tawia is a name given to a child that comes after twins. So whether it be a male or a female, it's a unisex name. So long as you are following or you were given birth to after twins, immediately they give you the name Tawia. So catch the revelation here. These two cities, these two places, which is the Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt, were the first set of twins. Okay. And one pharaoh rose up and said, I'm going to bring these two places together. And these two places, out of that came the city TAWI. Okay, the city TAWI. How weird is it that our people, our ancestors, now symbolize every time a child is born after twins, they call or they name that child Tawia, which is the same word, original word, TAWI, which were the people or the city. Are you getting the beauty of this? So, after this, the name Tawia came to stay. Hence, I'm showing you there's a name, George Tawia, or Tawia Sikapa, or we have Reetablish. Some people prefer to add an H to it because it's been modernized, but it's the same name. We can see Elatavia, we can see Tavia Teresa, we can see Rachel Edufie Tavia, which is actually a sister. Hey, Mama Jama, how you doing? She's actually a sister. So the name, the Tavia name, came out of the word TAWI, or came out of the people TAWI, who were a people in the capital of ancient Egypt. Let's look into the names of the Akan people, or the chi names that were used in Egypt. If you want to find the language of a people, look for their names. What better way to find where a people are from but among their royals? If the name of the royals is a language spoken by a tribe or tribes, then it means those tribes are direct descendants from those royals. You should know that these people who had an agenda to cut us off our root, or to cut us from our roof, consistently meddle with the letters of the name so they can throw all of us off from getting to God. The minute you hear the names of the people, you would easily pick the language. So if they add letters and prefix and suffix to letters, then all of a sudden it is sounding different, and now you can't even find the name. So they did this on purpose. One of the most important factors that makes the Akan people undeniably the true descendants of the ancient ones is the way our Akan ancestors wrote their texts. We, the Akans, have what we call the Edinka symbols, which are hieroglyphics, just as our ancestors had them on the walls of Egypt. So as you can see, the Edinka symbols, every symbol represented something, meant something, was speaking volumes. Let's compare these Edinka symbols with the symbols on the walls of Egypt, and we can see it's almost the same. I don't know of any tribe in Africa that also have their own hieroglyphics. This is ours. This is for the Akans. So if there are other tribes, I'm sure they will say it, but this is for the Akans, and this was what makes the Akans undeniably a true descendant of the ancient people of Egypt. Now, would you call it coincidental, seeing that they are almost alike? They are almost the same, of animals, of symbols, of shapes and forms and sizes. Would you call it coincidental? Would you say that the Akan people somehow, some way, knew that there will be a people that will be called a cursed people? So let's try and write something. Let's try and do something that would look like them, so that everybody would think that we are them. I mean, how dumb would that be? Come on, think about it. That you would force yourself to become a cursed people? Of course not. This is originally symbols or writing or text that the ancient people of the Akans were writing in. Now let's get to the names of these royals from ancient Egypt. We have Akhenaten. He was an Egyptian pharaoh who ruled during the 18th dynasty of the New Kingdom period of ancient Egypt. He is found for changing the traditional religion of Egypt from the worship of many gods to the worship of a single God. Now this is very important. You need to remember this. I think I'm going to do this on Spirit Friday, because this has got to do with spirituality. But pay attention to the fact that this pharaoh decided to bring the whole Egypt onto the worship of one God. So the one God system, monotheism, is not something strange to Egypt. This is actually something coming from ancient Egypt. Our fathers practiced at the point this pharaoh Akhenaten brought monotheism to Egypt and said, you know what, we are tired of all these several gods. Let's all come under one God system. This is before any religion. This is before Judaism. This is before Christianity. This is before any religion you can find. Our ancestors had this. Even this, they tried so hard to make him look like the white man, right? The Caucasus. But no matter how they tried or how they polished, look at the nose. It's definitely looking like an African. How big, see that big nose and big lips and thick lips. This is definitely looking African, and no matter how hard they try to polish this, it's definitely an African pharaoh. One thing you should know is that there's no record or a language that has the name Akhenaten. Akhenaten is totally foreign to the ancient people. The reason is simple. They had them altered. They altered their names so that they can get you thrown off the trail of discovering who you are. The name means covering, Akhenaten. Aten in Chi means judgment. Aten in Chi means judgment. The judgment day. Are you getting where they are getting all these ideas from? The judgment day. Judgment. Meaning Akhenaten, or the real name Akhenaten, is the one who brought the one God system. Meaning this one God is bringing judgment. Judgment day. Are you getting where they got the idea of a judgment day from? We also have names like Treme Aten, which we call Tremantin, Treme Aten, coming from the same Akhenaten name, or similar to the Akhenaten name. We have Amo Aten, or what we call Amoaten. Popular people with these names. We have Amo Aten, what we call Amoaten, or Boaten. Boaten is also an a combination of Bo and Aten, which we call Boaten. But when they modernize it, they try to add the gene to the end of the names, but it's still the same name. Which all these names are popular names among the Akan communities. Let's go to the next pharaoh. We have Khufu. Succeeded his father Sneferu as king. He is generally accepted as having commissioned the Great Pyramid of Giza, one of the 7 wonders of ancient world. But many other aspects of his reign are poorly documented. That's the image of Khufu right there coming on your screen. The real name is Akufu and not Khufu. The real name is Akufu and not Khufu. Akufu. The current president of Ghana is called Nana Akufo-Addo. Nana Akufo-Addo. So the name is Akufu, not Khufu. There's no, you won't find any tribe in Africa, where, not that I know of, that has the name Khufu. Khufu is altered. Khufu is modern. The original name was Akufu. But if they are giving you the Akufu name, then you will know that this is my people. Let's go to the next pharaoh, Tutankhamun. Tutankhamun was an ancient Egyptian pharaoh who was the last of his royal family to rule during the end of the 18th dynasty, drawing the new kingdom of Egyptian history. His father was the pharaoh Akhenaten, the pharaoh that brought the one God system, but Tutankhamun came to oppose it. Believed to be the mummy found in the tomb KV 55. The real name is not Tutankhamun. The real name is TUTU ANKOMAH. TUTU ANKOMAH. Not Tutankhamun. TUTU ANKOMAH. You will not find any tribe calling the names Tutankhamun. So the original name is TUTU ANKOMAH, which is a common name in Ghana or amongst the Akan people. TUTU ANKOMAH, which is a very common name amongst the Akan people. We had a chief amongst the Akan communities called Nana Osei Tutu. Nana Osei Tutu. He was one of the great kings of ancient, or not ancient, even amongst the Akan people. He was one of the great kings. So the name Tutu is not a foreign name. It's not new. It's not, and there's nowhere in, I don't know, but there's nowhere amongst the African tribes or West African tribes that they have a name called Tut or Tutankhamun. Then let's move to the next pharaoh, Siamu. Siamu ruled around 959 to 978 BC. Siamun ruled around 959 to 978 BC. The real name is Insiemu, or the Insianai, Obio Sianai. So the real name is Insiamu, not Siamu. So what they did is that they removed the end at the end of at the beginning of the name and turned it to the end of the name. So when you just pick the end and bring it to the beginning, you'd have Insiamu, Obi Osianai, Insiamu, somebody who steps in to take over, who steps in, somebody who replaces or steps in or represents the other. So the real name is Insiamu, not Siamin. Let's move to another pharaoh, which is Kent-Amen II. Kent-Amen II was also one of the pharaohs, but the real name is Kantamanto, not Kent-Amen II. The real name is Kantamanto, which is one of the biggest marketplaces, is a name given to one of the biggest marketplaces in Accra, Ghana, Kantamanto, not Kent-Amen II. The real name is Kantamanto. We have another pharaoh called Ka. It is believed that Ka represents the soul. Ka represents the soul, but Ka actually in the Chi language, Ka is the spirit, not the soul. Ka is the spirit, not the soul. When we talk about the soul, we call it Kra. Kra. So all you have to do is introduce out to it, right? And you have the Kra, which is the soul. So we speak this language and we use Kra to represent the soul. And this Kra is sometimes also given to a cat, because we believe a cat has a soul. A cat has a soul. And a cat is one of the animals you should actually have around, because a cat can sacrifice its life for yours. Because a cat has a soul. So the cat can give up its life, especially when the cat senses danger. A cat can give up its soul for your life. We place, when somebody is going to die in the family, a cat can take the life of that person and save the life and rather die. So cat is one of the spiritual animals. I know Nigerians don't like cats around at all because of the spirituality of it. So Kra means soul. So the actual name of this pharaoh is Kra, not Ka. And Kra is a Chi word, which means soul. We have the next pharaoh, Aya. Aya. Aya in the Chi is what you call FERN. FERN is a leaf, is a plant. Normally grows around palm plantations. Normally grows around palm plantations. But we have it in our Edinkra symbol. Remember I told you, see the connection between the Edinkra symbol and the pharaohs of Egypt? Remember the Edinkra symbol I told you about? So this pharaoh's name is Aya, which means endurance or resourcefulness. And an individual who wears this symbol suggests that he has endured many adversities and outlasted much difficulty. So he has endured many adversity and have outlasted much difficulty. And that's the meaning of the Aya symbol, the Dinka symbol, the hieroglyphics of our Akan people, which we find the Pharaoh of Egypt also called Aya.
Take this, and I am going to quote. He said, the Colchians, Ethiopians, and Egyptians got thick lips, broad nose, woolly hair, and they are burnt of skin. Man, he was talking about soul brothers and soul sisters. He was talking about Northern Africa, Egypt in particular, Ethiopia, and culture. And culture was what is today called the Middle East, where Israel and Syria is today. Socrates was tried and he committed suicide. They didn't try him for teaching Greek philosophy. They tried him for teaching a foreign philosophy and corrupting the minds of the minor with the things that he had learned from the Africans. The Africans blew his mind. What they're talking about, here's Plato. Plato is speaking in his Republic, about winged steeds and chariots. And at the time when Plato was writing, Greece didn't have the first winged steed, which was a fast horse, or the first chariot. They fought their wars, including the Peloponnesian Wars, on the Mediterranean. They knew nothing about fighting with no chariots. Plato was a goddamn thief and a plagiarizer. The same as Aristotle was. When Aristotle came to Egypt, which was originally called Kemet and then Sais, the Hebrews are the one that call it Egypt. We get to that too.
Welcome back. I've been behind the scenes today, but let me wrap it up. The point is that if they couldn't pronounce, I mean, even currently, they still can't pronounce the names. They still can't pronounce our names. So what makes you think that they were going to be able to pronounce the names of our fathers, especially when they came into contact with them the first time? How were they going to be able to pronounce the names? Let's take, for example, there's a name, Kari Kari. They couldn't pronounce it, so now they've made the name Kakari. But the original name is Kari Kari. And now they've modified it and everybody's going about the name Kakari. Another name of a town called Insawam. Insawam. They can't pronounce it. So when they are saying, NSA WOM, NSA WAM, NSA WAM, NSA WAM, the NSA WAM, NSA, they can't pronounce Insawam. But we look at it and we say Insawam because it is our language. Let me not even go any further. Let me use my own name. Mention my name. Let me spell my name to you. K-O-J-O, which is even modernized. Let me go to the original name. K-W-A-D-W-O. How do you pronounce that? K-W-A-D-W-O. How do you pronounce that? That is my name. How do you pronounce it? It will be heavy on your tongue, right? So how were these people able to pronounce these names? That is why they changed the letters so that they can pronounce these names the way they are comfortable in. Hence, because they couldn't pronounce my original name, Kwajo, they now call it Kojo, which is simple for them, K-O-J-O. But the original name is Kwajo. So these are just the examples that I've been showing you with the names of the pharaohs. Now you see the similarities. You see that the same people that lived in Pharaoh, you see that the same people that lived in Egypt are the same people that are living in modern day Ghana, Nigeria, all the West African countries. They are the same people. We use the same names. I mean, use my name. The modernized version is K-O-J-O. And check the ancient one. K-W-A-D-W-O. Where is the similarity? But it's still pronounced the same name, Kwajo or Kojo. But when you check the letters, you would think it's a different name. That is the same trick they played on the names of the pharaohs so that you wouldn't locate. Do you know what your life would have been like all this while if you knew the pharaohs were your direct descent? Do you not see how that is possible? That the pharaohs were your direct descent? Okay, let me break this down. So we in the West African districts, right? I've just proven to you we were the same people in Egypt. If we were the same people in Egypt and you believe in DNA and your DNA is bringing you to West Africa, what does it mean? It means that if you connect to the same people in West Africa, these same people were the same people in Egypt. So they had to lie and tell you Ham is cursed. The people in Egypt are the descendants of Ham. There is nothing like a descendant of Ham. It's all lies. So that you don't trace back. See our number. If all of us are coming back to trace to our identity, we can easily take them out. They are still occupying our lands. To cover up their lies and deception and wickedness, they make sure you see, they changed so much so that they even changed the northeastern part of Africa and called it the Middle East. Well, if we have a Middle East, how can a middle be an east? Listen, how can the middle of anything become an east or a west or anything? Middles do not become east or west. They are in the middle, for crying out loud. See the contrast. But they had to lie and turn it that way so that you wouldn't know that it was your ancestors that occupied these areas. There was nothing like a Middle East in ancient time. It was northeastern part of Kema. Northeastern part. What now we say northeastern part of Africa. They changed the Middle East, and to cover up their lies, they took our people, they forced our people down south, down. That is why the migration started. When they invaded, they forced, because they liked what was on our lands. So they forced our people out, and they brought their own people. Then in ancient time, there was no African that was an Arab. If you are an African and you call yourself an Arab or a Muslim, you do not have an identity, you do not have root. Because there's no ancient African that was a Muslim, that was a Christian, that was an Israelite. These are all lies that they've used to cover up the wrongs, the evil that they did. To try and separate us and turn us to fight against one another. There's nothing like an ancient black man that was an Israelite. There was nothing. These are all modern terminologies. Like the Middle East, modern. And they pushed our people out and whitened the whole area. When you go to Qatar, right, and when you go into their libraries, I have one of our brothers is there. He said it. That when you go into their libraries, it is there in their museum, it is there that this whole land was occupied by black people. Where are the black people now? Now when we go there, the black people cannot even find jobs to do. These people are sitting on our resources. Imagine if our people were the one occupying all the lands and we had the oil. Now you get why they came to whiten the place out. Because they needed our oil. Like they are still doing today. See how they've whitened Egypt out. That is why when you go to Egypt, they are not able to tell you the truth. They can't tell you where the real language is from. That's why all these archaeologists and Egyptologists, you better come to West Africa and find out the truth. Because the people you are talking to, they don't have the truth. They cannot tell you the truth. Because they are not the real people. They are imposters. They were brought in to cover up the lies. See the whole Northern Africa. My ancestry, the Ahanta people, yeah, part of me are Ahantas. We are all Akans, by the way. The Ahanta people, it's in our history. We came from the Algerian areas. These were all part of the empire of Egypt. I have a video of anyway, I don't want to blow my own horn. I don't want to tell you about my background or where I'm from or who I am. But my point is that we came from the Algerian district. That is where my great-great-grandfathers were occupying. But go to Algeria. You see all these white Africans. How can anybody be African and be white? Does that make sense to you? Let's look at South Africa. White Africans, you are white and you say you're an African. You are not an African. But they did all that to cover up their lie, to make you think they mean well. They don't mean well. When you go to all these places now, where are the black people? They've whitened the whole place out. They whitened South Africa out. You have white South Africans. And this is the same tactics that the Chinese are deploying. If you think I'm playing. That is why they are writing their own Bible. So that they can rewrite it in the... Because they know they've used the Bible to deceive everybody. So they are rewriting the Bible and bring these Bible to the younger generation. They are teaching everybody across the world how to speak Chinese. How to speak Chinese. What happened to your own language? You don't know, you can't speak the Chi language. You don't know it. But you are busy learning Chinese. Chinese who are not your people. They've whitened the whole place out. Now we have Chinese policemen in South Africa. They are not South African nationals. No, they are not South African nationals. They are not South African nationals. They are Chinese citizens, Chinese nationals who are now police officers. They have their own police station in places like South Africa, in Zambia. They gave them so much money that they can't pay back because they knew they won't be able to pay back. And they gave them the terms. If you are not able to pay back, we'll take this, we'll take this. They are our resources. So Zambia, if I'm wrong, they own about, Zambia or Zimbabwe, they own about 1/3 of the country now, China. They are using the same tactics. Before you realize, we have Zambian Chinese. And the whole district of Zambia or Zimbabwe, Zambia, I think, Zambia. The whole district have been turned Chinese. That's the same tactics. Listen, they've done this for so long. Listen, this is why the Most High called me to take me through all these years of studies so I can speak to you to wake up, so that you would rise up and come into the truth. You need to be in the truth today. You need it for your own good. We need to come together. That's why I said that this family is going to be the biggest family ever. Because we need to come together and fight and take over our land. We have a few places left. If we don't come now, if we don't act now, if we don't take, our leaders are not going to do it. They are filling their bellies. They don't care. It's up to me. And you might think that, oh, I'm from the Caribbean. It doesn't really bother me. I'm from this. Listen, the minute you lose Africa, you've lost your roots forever. You are nothing. Even now that you have Africa, see the way they are disrespecting you. What would happen if you lose Africa? This is an urgent cry. This is an urgent call to you. Let's wake up. Whichever part of Africa you are from, connect to the place. Go back home. Get something going. Invest there. Invest in your people. Let's build. Let's take over. Let's stop this whitenization that has been going on for ages. Because once they take over your land, they take over your language, they lie about your language, and they take over your resources. My name is Kojo Bento. This is what I do. I blow the whistle on the lies that they've told us all these years. If you are awake, tell your brother, tell your sister to wake up. And let's move to the enough talk, enough debate, enough who is this, who is that, who is who, enough of all of that. Let's come together. Let's start building our nations. Let's start taking control of our resources. Let me tell you something. There's going to be more resources in Africa than it has ever been in the next 50 years. Mark my words. In the next 50 years, there's going to be more resources found in Africa than any time in the history of mankind. This is the time to move in now. Let's work together and achieve the assignment, the cry, the call that our fathers are calling us to. I've taken enough of your time. Stay blessed. Have a great Sunday. I'll come your way tomorrow and continue our studies on the gods of the Bible. But listen, your true history is not in Israel. You're not an Israelite. You're a black man from Kemet, or you say ancient Kemet. That is your history. That is your identity. This is Identity Sunday. And what I do is to connect you to your identity, so that you come to this place where you are of your own self. When you touch base, you will feel home. Whichever part of Africa you are from, when you touch base, you would feel home. You will feel love. And let me take this opportunity to say, we are not fighting each other. We are not fighting each other. I refuse to be a part of anything that is fighting anybody. Whether you are Congo, South African, North African, whatever. Listen, I refuse to fight. They have divided us for too long. It is about time we wake up. When you know a truth about your country, go with it. Go with it. Tell your people. Tell your people to wake up. Tell your descendants. Tell your brothers and sisters in the diaspora, wherever, whichever country you find yourself. Just make sure you connect yourself to your roots. And let's move away, like I'm moving away, like I'm moving away, like I'm moving away, like I'm moving. I'm right back. Let's move away from these lies that they've told us all these years. Stay blessed. I love you. Enjoy your Sunday.